Hey ladies, so I remembered I had this little um, tiny piece here, these appliqué mushrooms, um, and it's not finished. These are all appliqued on. It's already got the batting. It does have, because I was going to make a postcard out of this, and I probably still will when I get it done. But it has the stiff interfacing in it as well, the stuff I use for my bowls, just to make it, a little stiffer. Obviously, we're not using that on our quilts, but anyway, so I am going to use some variegated thread on the top. Okay, and then I have my plain thread on the bottom. I'm going to use this as kind of a cream color. I just had that in a bobbin. I didn't want to wind another bobbin, so I'm just going to use that cream color, and it works fine. I did a sample. Now, every time I go to stitch on my project, like if I'm approaching it in a day, on a particular day, I don't know how to put this, I will always check my stitch with a scrap sandwich, just to make sure everything is good. The other thing that I want to talk about a little bit is the condition of your machine. Make sure that you are, cleaning it and oiling it as you should, as your manufacturer recommends. My machine, a still baby ear, does not want to run well when it's got a dirty diaper, so to speak. I'll just put it that way. I mean, it's just so funny. I can tell. And it's nothing real obvious, but I know this gal so well that I can tell, And that's another thing, when you're sewing along, and you are in tune with your machine, there's certain things, that I can hear or feel that aren't quite right. And that'll happen. I mean, it happens all the time, and I'll just stop and take my project out and inspect, rethread, look underneath, see if there's anything stuck. Just be aware, because it can, if you just keep going, oh, that's nothing, and you keep going, then all of a sudden you look in the back of your project and it's all a mess. That can happen, and it's happened to me too. I mean, sometimes you miss it, and so I just want to put that out there for you guys, so that you be aware, you're aware. And also always check the bottom side, and you can see here, I hope that it looks pretty even. I mean, the tension is pretty good on the top and the bottom, so always be checking that when you start your project. You sew a little bit and take it out, cut the thread and take it out and look underneath, because if you take the time to do that, then you will save yourself a lot of problems, time having to take stuff out and all of that. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to try here to put this phone on a little thing here. This isn't the greatest setup, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to leave you hanging for a second there. The thing you see in the background is a scarf that I'm working on. It's with water-soluble stabilizer. Anyway. with a bunch of pieces of fabric and yarn and all kinds of good stuff. I'm excited to get that done. Anyway, over here, I'm going to put, hopefully, this will be stable enough on top of this. Oh boy, it's pretty shaky. I should have thought of this before I started, right? While I'm doing this, you can look at my earrings. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I hope. Oh, maybe I could get it even. Maybe I could get that. Maybe even better. Hopefully you can see it from there, what I'm doing. I think you can. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to put my gloves on. And I'm gonna start in the middle of this little piece here. And I'm gonna pull my needle down. You know, I'm gonna be sewing around the edge of this piece here, and then I'm going to be quilting in the inside of it, and that's what you'll be doing. You'll be doing, you know, going around the edge and quilting the center. Now I've got these little yellow dots that are glued on, and I will be quilting those as well inside this space. So I'm going to start, bring my thread up. You know, I'm not exactly on the edge, but you know what? It's okay. And I'm going to go back and forth a little bit. It's kind of difficult. I'm going to cut these threads. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know, because you're going to have so much stitching on this thing. I mean, it's not like, oh, you know, you got to have 1/16 of an inch exactly all the way around. It's not, you know, that. So for this little guy, I'm just going to do like a meander, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to go around the circles like that, and just continue. There's some pattern to this batik. So, you know, sometimes what I do, if there's a pattern in the batik and I feel that it's going to benefit the visual outcome, I will follow the pattern of the batik. Not all the time, because not all the time it would benefit the visual. Sometimes I go straight across. It just depends on what it is. Like if this was blue and I was doing water and it was kind of, you know, a wavy pattern, I would do more what's like the water, like back and forth horizontally, because that's the way water is, right? So anyway, I'll continue. Hope all this is making sense. You know, I mean, like I said, sometimes not being perfect is a good thing. You can see that I'm kind of doubling up on that circle. Gives it a little character. And you can go back over your outline to follow. And kind of going back over, you know. All right, so the other thing I wanted to, as I'm stitching, I'm thinking of a person that I really like to watch her stitching on YouTube, and her name, it's called Stitches by Julia, and she has a YouTube channel, and she just does the neatest stuff with her free motion stitching. I just really I've learned a lot from her about you know, actually not being perfect. She really does a really good job at showing that. So I'm gonna just so another thing you can do if you have this section here and another section maybe 5 inches over or so, not like way across the quilt at the beginning, but if you have another section that you want to use that particular thread in, you can you know, go back and forth, make your little knot, and then pull your foot and your needle up and just travel it over to the edge of the other piece, so you don't have to be cutting it all the time. You can do that too, but don't do it like you know, like halfway across the quilt. Just if it's close by, like what I'm doing now. And because this is a small quilt, I'm going to travel it right over here to the top. I'm just going to use the same thread in all of this. Now, the stem of this mushroom, I'm back down, you know, I just traveled back on down to this stem. I'll cut these a minute. This isn't exactly, you know, what you guys are doing because yours is all pretty much, I mean, you have some background fabric, but anyway, so this stem there's a boutique that kind of goes in a vertical pattern. So I'm going to just follow that because it works. I'm going to outline first. And then I'm going to start doing my vertical lines because that adds to the pattern, you know, the texture of this stem. And this one I'm just hopping over because it's not noticeable, you know. And that's another vertical. Okay. So, here's a close-up. I hope you can see, you know, what I was doing when I was sewing, but if it wasn't real clear, you can see what I'm doing here. Oh, I forgot to put the little dots down on the little mushrooms and the caps. I could finish that later. I just want, and then, of course, what you do is you check your back, which I did not do when I started, so, but you want to do that, after a little bit, but it works pretty good. Looks pretty good. Looks really good. So, what else was I thinking of as I was doing this? Oh, okay. Talk about a little bit of a detail. What I can do is come in, like, I think you all have places on your quilts where you want to do a little bit of like Mitzi with the windows and the and the lighthouse, and Sue maybe like the grain of the wood in the crate. I'm just giving some examples, and Sue, the grain of the wood in your what do you call that? Dock. I'm sorry, my brain. When I get into stitching like this, I get into my right brain, and it's hard to talk. Anyway, so to give an example of what you would do is, of course, again, bring up your thread. And I'm going to put some grasses in here. Oops, something didn't feel right there. I'm going to go a little further. Yeah, see, something's jumping around. Yeah, I'm going to check it. There's something. See? Look at that. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a... Okay, so I'm going to cut that off. Just certain things, if it starts feeling funny, stop. Because you don't want your whole back of your quilt to look like that. So I'm going to take my bobbin out. Make sure my bobbin is right. And it looks right. Sometimes things just need to be reset. Then I'm going to check. I'm going to actually... Well, there is some stuff on my needle, so I'm going to clean that off. Yeah, my alcohol spray. I'm going to clean my needle. Just make sure everything's kind of in order. I was doing that scarf, and it has a little bit of fusible stuff that might get caught in my needle, so that probably is what happened. Okay, I'm going to actually rethread this just to make sure. Only take me a minute. Yeah, check on that Stitches by Julia. Check her out, because she's just fun to watch, and she makes it good. I mean, she's really good at doing her videos, and so they're entertaining and well done. Not like some other people we know. Anyway, okay, get out of there. All right, let's see if that helped. Don't forget to close your compartment underneath, which I do occasionally, and my machine will go stop and go, there's, your bobbin thread isn't working, or it detects everything, which I like, and sometimes I don't like, but mostly I like. All right, so let's start again. feels better. Cutting those babies. My wastebasket took a trip. I don't know where it is, so everything's going on the floor. So I'm doing some little grasses. You know, maybe spend a day or two looking at your quilt and practicing. You know, looking at your quilt and kind of maybe even writing down what you want to do where. You know, even picking the colors, you know, section it off somehow and, you know, picking the color threads you want to use, looking at the different sections and deciding, you know, what you want to do in those areas. And when you come to doing something like this, then it turns into, I think that's the difference between the quilting part, like what's up here, and the actual, what you would call thread painting or thread sketching. I think that's where the two kind of differ. Also, you might want to see where you want to do some coloring in with some ink tons or, you know, anything like that. We can talk about that on Friday. Oops, something went goofy again. You know, so I'm going to look and see. But I think you can, you know, I'm going to make some more grasses up here, but I got to check and see, you know, what's going on here because that's the second time it's happened. So there might be something caught underneath. So I guess for now, that's what is going on. And that's what I have to show you. Excuse me. You know, the other thing you could practice is back to this. The other thing you can practice is, you know, on your practice sheets, maybe actually drawing, sketching a tree with Frixion. I don't know if you all know what Frixion is. It's a pen that disappears when you iron it, or any other kind of thing that's kind of a disappearing tool, writing tool. And you know, draw a tree, and you know, practice, you know, thread painting a tree. You know, that gives you a lot of idea of what you can do. You know, transferring the ideas onto your project. So, and we talked about, I was going to bring some thicker threads. These were what I was going to bring. These are a little bit, I think these are 35 weight. So they're a little bit thicker. Not much, but enough to make kind of a difference. So if you go to Hobby Lobby, they might have some of that, or Fields, or, you know, but don't go out tomorrow. Unless you're, you know, like desperate or something, but I don't think you are. So anyway, that's that. I will post this and let me know.